Hey everybody, Vic back with you once again. Trying a different angle here, so that way I'm not, turned to the side when I'm talking to you the whole time. Anyway, haven't done one of these informational videos in quite a while, so I figured it was due time. And instead of my usual, recounting road stories and things like that, what we're going to do is expound upon some lists that I had made on Facebook, my Facebook page, Solo Sound Entertainment. That, of course, was the page that I used for many, many years for my music business, DJing and singing. So I got reflective one day and was thinking about things because, if you follow the page on Facebook, that's Solo Sound Entertainment. Lately, I've found many photos and video clips from the years on the internet, and that got me to thinking. In my personal opinion, what were the best places I played, performed at, and what were the worst. And unfortunately, the bad comes with the good. So what I'd like to do today is break this into a two-part, or two videos, I should say. And in this first video, I'm going to talk about the best places I played, my favorites, actually. And to not distract me, I'm going to go put the worst lists over here. The best are in front of me right now. Because, well, sometimes I need notes in front of me like a newscaster. So here we go without further ado, and I'm going to go from 10 to 1. And what I'll do is I'll briefly explain why I liked performing at these places. So first, we're going to go with the top 10 nursing homes. Now, for all of you watching me in Florida, where I currently live, keep in mind, these are all from Massachusetts and Rhode Island, where I lived before I came to Florida 3 years ago. And that's the case with all four lists. Nothing in Florida is here yet because I've only performed at a small handful of places in Florida. So this is all from New England. So in at number 10, and these are really in no particular order, until you get to like maybe the top 3 or 4. In at number 10 is the Guardian Center of Brockton, which was located on North Main Street, almost to the Avon line. If you're familiar with that area at all, you probably know where I'm talking about, right on Main Street, North Main Street to be precise. Now, the Guardian Center was interesting for me because I knew people there already, because some of their staff, quite a bit of their staff, be it activities and or nursing, were from Sachem Nursing in East Bridgewater, where I had worked many years before, well, not many years, but some years before that. In particular, the activities director. I'm not going to name names here because people know who they are, and I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus. But of course, in this case, I'm praising people. So, all right, you know what? We'll name names in the positives. Joanne Banner was the name of the Guardian Center Activities Director, who I previously worked with at Sachem Nursing in East Bridgewater. So when Joanne had become the Activities Director there, and I was looking to expand, and this had become my full-time living, I said, okay, I'm going to reach back out to Joanne because she was someone I already knew. And she brought me in there about 6 to 7 times per year. And you name the show, and we did it there. Every incarnation of Elvis. Anthony Sylvia and I did the Blues Brothers there, Briefcase Full of Blues, our Blues Brothers tribute show. Even my one-man tribute to the Village People, but I was dressed as the biker. So, I mean, and Go Christmas, and yeah, a little bit of everything. I don't think there was a show I didn't do there. I think I even did Phil Collins, and yeah, I did Lionel Richie there too. So, yeah, that was a very positive experience. And the crowd, the residents there were fantastic. And there was this one couple that used to get up and dance all the time. So, nothing but good memories over there. Don't really know what else much I can say about it, except to the Guardian Center, to Joanne Banner, thank you very much. In at number 9 is actually a nursing home in Providence, Rhode Island, East Providence to be precise, and it's a place called Waterview Villa. Now, Waterview Villa has a real interesting history. Not so much because of the building, but again, people involved. Rewind a couple years before this, and I used to play on a regular basis at a nursing home in Fairhaven, Massachusetts, called Royal of Fairhaven. It was part of the Royal chain. There was one in Fairhaven, there were 2 in Falmouth, 1 in Buzzards Bay, and a couple other locations. Quite a few on Cape Cod, actually. Anyhow, Barbara Ellis Voltus was the activities director at Waterview Villa, but before that, I knew her from Royal of Fairhaven, because Royal of Fairhaven, for a little while, had a revolving door of activities directors. When I got there, it was a woman, last name Brown. I can't think of her first name for the life of me. The name Debbie's coming to mind, but I don't think that's right. But anyway, Mrs. Brown was the activities director. She retired, and when she retired, just like a revolving door of directors came in up until I left. And Barbara was one, and clicked with Barbara right away. Barbara was very supportive of what I did, and when I was looking to expand into Rhode Island, I had gone to a place in Providence called Summit Commons because a friend of mine, Mary Livers Lima, whom I knew from the Oaks of New Bedford, had gone over there, and I'd gotten in contact with her through Facebook, and we booked some shows there. And she said to me, "You know, Vic, we have a sister home on the east side of Providence called Waterview Villa. Why don't you give them a call?" I said, "Sounds great." And Barbara Ellis Voltus answers, who I remembered from Fairhaven. And again, good times. I mean, I did Elvis there. I did Neil Diamond. I did Village People once again, dressed as the policeman. Did my Disney show there. I mean, we really hit on all cylinders in East Providence. So, and Barbara is someone that, like Joanne Banner, I mentioned before, and like Mary Livers Lima, these are all people that I keep in touch with to this day, thanks to social media. So, want to thank Barbara for everything she did for me over there. In at number 8 is a place that sadly no longer exists. But on the positive, once again, what the activities director there is someone that I still keep in touch with thanks to Facebook, Pat Pavo, and I'm talking about Highland Manor in Fall River. This was a very unique facility because it was, number one, small. It was like a mansion that was converted into a very large house that was converted into a nursing home. And the other unique aspect of Highland Manor is they did not have a single male resident. All the residents were ladies. And again, this is a place that I got to do everything. I got to do all incarnations of Elvis. I got to do Jimmy Buffett. I got to do Neil Diamond, Cowboy Sam. I think I even did Jukebox Memories there. Probably some Legends of Vegas. And there were some others. But the bottom line is, Pat had received a business card from Cheryl Gerard, who at the time was the president of the Bristol County Association of Activities Directors. And I had given her a stack of my cards and said, "Could you please pass this stack of business cards out to your fellow activities directors at your next regional meeting?" Because I knew that she had regional meetings. And Pat was treasurer, I believe, if I remember correctly. She maybe secretary or treasurer. I know that she, Mary Livers Lima, once again, and Cheryl were all officers, along with someone else, Carol Brussells from New Bedford. They were all the officers of that association. So that's how Pat had heard of me. And then once I came in, I must have impressed her, and she kept bringing me in for quite a few years, 4 or 5 years anyway. Only about 4. Just trying to think of the timeline. But always a good time. Always a good time at Highland Manor. Number 7, mentioned Royal. Well, Royal of Cape Cod comes in at number 7. And this was a place that actually I had started playing way back in the early 2000s. I had made a couple of sporadic appearances there. And when it came time to go full time, then they started booking me on I think it was a 5-show-a-year basis. And I feel terrible because I cannot remember the name of the activities director there, but she was so good to me and booked me all the time, consistently. And unfortunately, she had already left before I moved to Florida. But while we were working together, she was fantastic. And they also had, this is in Buzzards Bay now, which is where Royal Cape Cod is located, right off of Route 6 there. And every August, they had an event on a Sunday afternoon called the Concert by the Sea, because they were right on Buzzards Bay. So they had Concert by the Sea outdoors. And I made history with Concert by the Sea. I was the very first, and as far as I know, to this day only, I haven't talked to anybody from there since, but at that time, I was the very first entertainer to ever play Concert by the Sea 2 years in a row. They brought me in 2014 and 2015. So for 2 straight years, I was the entertainer for Concert by the Sea, which was a 90-minute mixed bag both years. They didn't have me do Elvis or anything, themed. They just had me come in and do a 90-minute mix. And it was a lot of fun. I had a great time with it. So nothing but good memories there. Number 6 is Golden Living Garden Place, which was on Route 123 in Attleboro, Massachusetts. I have a spotty history with this place in the beginning, but then it turns out well. What happened was they had an activities director book me for a bunch of shows and then leave. After I had come in maybe 4 or 5 times, this other activities director that I originally dealt with had left, and then when the new one came in, whose name I will divulge in a moment, she had no idea, because that happens sometimes. Sometimes when an activities director leaves, they don't leave any notes. They take their calendar with them, and therefore nobody knows what's going on. And that's what happened here. So Sheila Andrew became the new director, and when I came in to perform one day, I thought I was coming in to perform. She looked at me and she's like, "Who are you?" And I was, "I'm Vic Solo. I'm here to do Elvis for you." And she's like, "I don't have you scheduled today." And that's when I found out about the previous director leaving. But from there on, Sheila and I had a fantastic friendship. And sometimes she would even have me come in on like a holiday or a special day. She might have been off. Her assistants were always very good to me too. The residents there were always a lot of fun. They were always very enthusiastic about the shows. And we always had a great time. And we did some shows outside. I did a Jimmy Buffett show outside on their patio. I did Elvis for them, and I did the Village People as the soldier for them. And I did my patriotic show and my Christmas show, John Lennon. Once again, Anthony Sylvia and I did the Blues Brothers. So it was a good time. It was a very good time. Nothing but wonderful memories there. And Sheila was always very good to me and booked me literally right up until I left. I think my last show was like a month before. Yeah, it was. It was a month before I moved to Florida. So she was always very good to me. And I'll never forget it. Number 5 is a interesting facility because it was in my hometown. As many of you know, I grew up in a small town called Middleborough, Massachusetts, just outside of Plymouth and about a half hour from Cape Cod and 40 miles south of Boston. And at Nemasket Healthcare, this was the facility that relaunched my career not once, but twice. Allow me to explain. In 2006, I decided to take a break and didn't want to entertain anymore. And then my daughter was born in 2007, so I wasn't really, I wasn't doing much. And then I think it was on 09. Yeah, 2009. So yeah, it was almost 3 years that I wasn't performing, but I was still out DJing. Or I was performing in like events and clubs. I was staying away from the nursing homes at that time. And then in 2009, I get a call from Sharon Gosling, who, to my knowledge, is still the director there, and was someone else I still keep in touch with on social media. And Sharon had called me and said, "Vic, I have a huge favor to ask of you." And I was like, "First of all, how'd you get my number?" Because I was living in Taunton. I wasn't in Middleborough anymore. And she's like, "Oh, your mother gave it to me." I'm like, okay, what's the favor? She's like, "Well, I have a resident here that's turning 100 years old who is from Tupelo, Mississippi originally and knew Elvis, Aaron, and Gladys Presley. Please tell me you still have your jumpsuit, and would you please come in and do an Elvis show for us?" And I said, "Absolutely." I didn't even hesitate. I said, "Sure." Because I thought, it's a one-off. I'm going to go, I'm going to have fun. Well, long story short, my phone number got passed around again, and it was like, where the hell have you been? And so started performing again on a regular basis. Relaunched my career the second time in 2014. My right eye had a retinal detachment and had to have surgery to reattach it. And I was out for about a month, out of action. At this point, I'm already singing full time. I wasn't doing anything else. So Namaskit, once again, was the launch pad, if you will. My first show back. And I think my last show for them was 2 months before I moved out of Massachusetts. But Sharon was always good to me. She always booked me. In the beginning, it was on a once-a-month basis, but then due to budget cuts and the facility wanting to diversify entertainers, it went to every other month, which I was fine with because I was playing a lot of places at that point too. So, the arrangement though that I had with Sharon was, when it was 12 shows a year, the agreement was 4 had to be Elvis, and then the other 8 we could do other things. When it was 6 shows a year, the agreement was 3 had to be Elvis, and the other 3 could be something else. I didn't mind. It's a gig. And plus they were just always super good to me. And my grandfather, my mother's father, my grandpa Page, spent his remaining years as a resident there and got to see me perform many, many times. So that was another great thing. Plus my mom had worked there too, and at that time. So, there's a lot of history with that building, and there's a lot of sentimental feelings to it, and a lot of great memories there. Number 4, we go back to the ocean state of Rhode Island, Silver Creek Manor. I recently told the story of how I got to Rhode Island. So the activities director there was a former activities assistant in Massachusetts at a place called Somerset Ridge, and remembered me from there and had called Somerset Ridge and said, hey, I'm directing over here now. Can I get Vic Solo's contact information? And there we go. And they had a couple of changes in activities directors during my tenure, but Silver Creek Manor was a joy. They used to bring me in 6 times a year, every other month. And they also were the first nursing home to bring me in for a 2-hour Christmas show in the evening. It was like on a Wednesday evening or a Thursday evening right before Christmas. And they had me do 2 hours. And at the first time, it was rough. The second time, had it down, knew what I had to do. And also, this was another place that was very diverse over the years. I think it was like a 3-year span, or maybe 4. It was a 4-year span, actually, that I'd performed there. And they got to see everything. I don't think there's a show they didn't see. They had me do the Village People there, too, as the construction worker. So, see, it was diverse. I get to do all kinds of things. It was a lot of fun. Now we go on to number 3. Number 3 shares something with number 5, Namaskit. Well, it shares 2 things. Number 3 is Southeast Rehab in Easton, Massachusetts. My mother worked at both places. When she left Namaskit, she went to Southeast Rehab. The other thing that they share, in Massachusetts, they were, actually in all of New England, they were my 2 longest running accounts. I did more shows there. I started performing at Namaskit and Southeast in the 90s. So I was there for a long, long time. And again, there was a few different activities directors. But when I left, right before I moved to Florida, Judy Gill, someone I knew from Sachem, was the director there up until a couple, maybe 6 months before I moved, because then she had gone on to a facility in Rockland and booked me over there. But then a new woman had come in, and again, a matter of, I came in with, and no one left me anything, so I'm doing everything fresh, clean slate. You can't blame them. People just do that. It's like the wrestling business. They bring in their crew. Number 2, Serenity Hill of Wrentham. I cannot say enough good about Serenity Hill and Wrentham. They challenged me. They not only did they like what I did, Elvis and so on and so forth, they challenged me to do other things. And that's where the John Lennon Show was born. And that's where some like the 70s and my one-man tribute to the Beatles all started there. And Carol Kane, the activities director, God bless you. Thank you for booking me for all those years. It was a lot of years there. Spent a lot of years in that facility. Number one would be the Warren Center in Warren, Rhode Island. I got less than a minute to wrap this up, but all I can say about the Warren Center is you all challenged me to be a better entertainer. I did 2-hour Christmas shows for you guys on Saturday mornings when, you know, in the morning I'm usually not able to sing, I don't think, but I think I pulled it off there nicely. Valerie DaCosta and Victoria Santos, you two were fantastic to me, and I will never ever forget not only the 2-hour Christmas shows, but the Elvis shows and Neil Diamond and Stars and Stripes and Macho Mania as the cowboy. We got to do all kinds of stuff for the good folks over there at the Warren Center. And again, another place that I just can't say enough good about, and have taken me wonderful memories. And recently, I reconnected with Victoria and Valerie on social media, so I get to talk to them again. Well, that's going to do it, everybody, for this list. I took a little bit longer than I thought. The next list will be COAs. Thank you.